Years ago, when there used to be carnivals that would travel around the country, and you attended the carnival, there was always the midway where they had all the rides, the Ferris wheel, the roller coaster, maybe even the nice pony ride. But there was also the sideshow, the freak show. And the freak show, oh, maybe they had the bearded lady, the sword swallower, the knife thrower, all sorts of unusual acts from all around the world, they used to say. Well, we have a fraction freak show. And the fraction freak show will hopefully help you keep straight what you have to do to solve each kind of fraction problem. Addition, subtraction, multiplication, and division. So the first thing we see when we approach the fraction freak show, and the barker's there, come on in, see the fraction freak show. I'm your barker today. The barker was the name given to the person that used to try to draw you in so that you'd pay your money to go into the freak show. Well, the first thing we see when we approach the fraction freak show is we see the strange twins, Addie and Subby. They're strange. They're from the Far East, Cleveland, I think. But they're strange twins in that they always like to wear the same pair of pants. Well, obviously then, Addie and Subby have to have a large enough pair of pants so they'll both fit into it. Now, how does that relate to fractions? Pants, that's the bottom. Well, what's the bottom of a fraction? That's a denominator. Remember, the top of a fraction is the numerator, the bottom of the fraction is the denominator. So Addie and Subby, if they need to have the same pair of pants, that means that addition and subtraction have to have the same denominator before we can add or subtract the fractions. So when you see an addition problem, think of Addie and her twin Subby. They like to wear the same pair of pants. They need to have the same denominator of those fractions before you can add them or before you can subtract them. Now, the next thing we see at the fraction freak show is the magical Mulroy. And the magical Mulroy has the ability to shrink himself before your very eyes. He will mystify you with his ability to reduce himself right before your very eyes. Well, what does that tell us about fractions? Magical Mulroy, that's multiplication. Whenever you multiply fractions, the first thing you try to do is try to reduce them, try to shrink them. With our process that we look for a common factor that can be divided out of one of the numerators with one of the denominators of our fractions. So when you think of multiplying fractions, think of magical Mulroy, and you're going to reduce, you're going to shrink those fractions first. Well, the third act here at our fraction freak show is the dancing divas. And look at the dancing divas. Look at the second dancing diva. She always dances upside down. Well, what does that tell us about dividing fractions? It tells us that the second fraction has to be turned upside down before it can dance with the first fraction. Before we can divide fractions, we take the second fraction, turn it upside down. The fancy math term is you take the reciprocal of the fraction. Or just think about the dancing diva flipping herself upside down before she dances with her partner. So hopefully the fraction freak show will help you keep straight what you have to do with each kind of fraction problem. Addition and subtraction, got to have a big enough pair of pants. They have to have the same pair of pants, same denominator. Multiplication, Mulroy's going to shrink first. He's going to reduce first. And division, the dancing divas, the second diva flips upside down before starting the dance. We'll look at each of these operations with fractions and relate their procedures back to the fraction freak show. Hope you enjoyed the show today.